Welcome to the book report. It is the summer reads edition, and I am Teri Lucas, author of Color, Thread, and Free Motion Quilting, Learn to Stitch with Reckless Abandon. And I am so happy to be here with you. I wanted to share a couple of things with you. First of all, it is Memorial Day weekend, and I'm hoping to do this in one take so I can post it to you today, in part because I am excited to share with you that C&T is doing an ebook sale this weekend, and there are more details about that on my website, which I will link over to in the show notes. I mentioned it is the summer reads edition, and with a summer read, you need a summer drink, right? Well, my friends, well, you can't see how pretty it is. My summer drink, and I will put my recipe or my guidelines for a summer drink in the show notes. I've been enjoying lemonade here in Texas for a while. I don't know what it is about the switch from like caffeine to non-caffeinated drinks. Oh, might be getting older. Yeah, I can't avoid that, right? So my summer drink is lemonade with mashed strawberries in it. Oh my goodness. Squeeze a couple of lemons, squeeze a couple of limes. Oh, so it's a citrusade with smash up a bunch of strawberries, put some sugar, add some ice, add a little bit of water, and you can even add fizzy water if you actually love that. And go out on the hammock. That's going to be my go-to place this summer. Books on the Kindle or books in hand, and I am going to be out there. And I have 4 books that I am going to share with you today. One's a bit of a bonus, and then the other 3 are my summer reads. Oh my gosh, I am really looking forward to reading all of these. I have done some quick reading so I can tell you a little bit about each one of them. So I'm gonna put you up in the corner while I look at and talk about the books. So the first book that I want to tell you about is Crafting for Murder by Barbara Emodi. She is from Canada. I think she lives in Halifax, Nova Scotia, or she lives somewhere in Nova Scotia. This is her, from what I understand, this is her first book with C&T. And I love that C&T has added fiction to their overall lineup because, you know, for years we've had things like from Marie Bostwick and a number of other authors who have given us some really good quilting or crafting related content in fiction. And this is just like one more. Somebody's joining in. Barbara's book is titled, as I mentioned, Crafting for Murder. It's a Gaspar's Cove cozy mystery. So if it sounds like she's going to do more than one, or maybe has done more than one book. What I love about this, there are a number of things that have kind of drawn me into the book. Number one, she provides a map. Now, anyone who can provide a map has a real feel for a place. Like they know where things are, how long it's going to take to get somewhere, where the roads are. And from what I understand in writing fiction or even looking at things in terms, but she provides a map of the area. So you really get a feel for where you might be and like where it might be in relation to water or something along that line. And she starts this off with Jerry Richards, who is the voice of the waves, which is CKGC. And I don't know if this is an actual radio station or not, but it would be fun to find out. So she starts off with in the radio station and is raring to go. And of course, it's a crafting novel. So we're going to get into things along that line. We're going to learn all about the characters and learn about Raleigh. We're going to learn more about Jerry. We're going to learn more about Polly and Toby and Donald Duck McDonald. And we're going to see how they all come together, who gets murdered. And, who doesn't, I don't know about you. One of my, I want to say guilty pleasures, but I don't feel very guilty about it, is British murder mysteries. So this is kind of like right in line with what I watch anyway. But I love a good story, and this one really does look like a good story. And I think I'm going to try and see if Barbara will come on the book report with me and talk about everything behind the book. Now, the second book is by Mark Pasquini, and Mark is the brother of Katie Pasquini Mazopost. So Mark wrote, this is his debut novel, a Steve Welsh mystery. So I suspect there are going to be more books in here. Here's what drew me into the book. Right. I spent some time reading the prologue and was going to dive more into it. But if it's going to be my summer reading, I'm going to sit out on the hammock for like all weekend long. This starts with the people in the quilt guild gathering to talk about the show quilt. If you've ever been on that committee, you know what this conversation is like. Everybody needs to be able to share their ideas. They need to have a general feel for what's going on. They need to select colors. They need to go shopping for fabric. They need to figure it out. This process isn't easy. And in that prologue, you really get that conversation going. And then we get into the story and start learning about Steve and how, what he does and what he's trying to put off and how all this stuff kind of comes together. And I suspect that Steve probably is the one who finds the rose quilt, or the rose quilt is handed down to him, or does the research to figure it out. I didn't get that far into the book, but I'm telling you, that prologue drew me right into the book, really into the book. This next really good summer read, and I'm telling you right from the start, it is going to be a good summer read. It is by Anne Hazelwood, who is a quilter, and either we're Facebook friends or I know who she is. The book that I'm recommending, and it is a whole series, and I think there are already 5 books available through C&T. It is Quilters of the Door, meaning Door County, Wisconsin. And I don't know if you know anybody who might have grown up in Door County or has connections to Door County, Wisconsin, but we all kind of know Alex Anderson, and she has connections to Door County. Now, Anne starts this off she gives background, she gives how she spent summers there, and then she talks about the quilters the quilters who are in this particular quilt group. It is a group of 9 women who meet on a regular basis, and she tells you a little bit about who they are. So this is in part her character development. But these are also people that we can identify with. And it kind of cracked me up when she was writing about, as Anne is talking about the characters, and she talks about one of them, and it's like she's the token machine quilter, everybody else hand quilts. And the main character in the book series is Claire Stewart, who is moving from Missouri, taking the place in the group of her friend Cher, who's moving to Missouri to take care of her mom. Now, that in and of itself, first of all, what a gift to be able to come into a group of already established artists where the group size is limited, and you work with one another. That is actually one thing that I have missed over the last couple of years specifically, but a few years prior to that is is my mini group, my small group of women that I would gather with, and we would talk about our art. And it is one of those places where I grew. I haven't, moving a couple thousand miles is not an easy thing to do. And so I actually missed that. So Claire in this book series is given that opportunity. So she has instant friends or instant people who, if something's going on, she can be in contact with them and have some support. So that is being built right in for her. And I think that is in and of itself a gift. When I moved here to Texas, to Central Texas, a friend of mine, somebody that I met in New York, already lived here. And one of the conversations that my husband and I had is that, what he goes, what are you going to do for friends? I'm like, there are quilters there, I'll be fine. And in great regard, that's true. I haven't connected quite so much with the quilters here yet. However, that will happen at the right time. I am working more on building relationships with quilt shops right now so that I can teach. So there's good information on the characters in here. And I really love that, because there's always somebody that you can identify with. And, the interesting thing around here, at least, is that there are a lot of quilters. And so we start off with Claire driving to Wisconsin and getting there and beginning to set up her new abode and place to live. So that is, I will be, it's Memorial Day weekend. I will be having my husband set the hammock up probably tomorrow morning after he mows the yard. And as much as possible, I will be out on the hammock reading this weekend on my Kindle, because I have 3 books ready to go. Now, the interesting thing, I actually, when I started today, I had no intention of talking about quilt books or must-haves in the studio. I think these are all must-haves for sure, because who doesn't love a good story? I was absolutely stunned by one of the books that is coming out. It's either out right now or it's coming out. It's releasing very soon, by Daisy. And Daisy, I apologize if you're seeing this and I am butchering your name. Aschehoug or she's Norwegian. So Daisy, I really do apologize. Her book is called Quilting with Curves, 20 Geometric Projects. Now, I have been a quilter for 30 years. I am more of a free motion machine quilter than I am a piecer. But the quilts in this book have such a dynamic look to them that it is so worth getting. It is so worth getting. As I was like, in fact, I am actually, these are just so good. These are all essential, with a couple of exceptions. These are all based on the Drunkard's Path. So it's a block that we're already familiar with, and it is simply different ways of using this block to create some really dynamic quilts, like really dynamic quilts. I have not seen quilts like this ever. And what I love about them, what I love about the patterning is these blocks look hard, but they're really not hard. We can piece Drunkard's Paths. We can use rulers and or templates to get to the size and shape that we need. She uses lots of half square triangles, and she uses that basic Drunkard's Path. And just by turning it and layering in more color or more fabric to create a different size block or a different shape block, she comes up with some really mind-blowing. So Ashley's book, the designs and the quilt names are really, really fantastic. She's got really great imagery of things that she uses, and talks about the anatomy of a curve. And there are QR codes that lead you to patterns and templates for all of this. And she shows you how she cuts with templates, which is fantastic, because that is something sometimes we all struggle with. Like, what is this supposed to look like? How is this supposed to work? So she really does give you a good primer for how to work with all of this so that you can get the shapes that you want. I think one of my favorite quilts, let me see if I can get to it. And I will see if I can grab an image of this quilt from to go in the blog post. But one of my favorite quilts, it's so, when I was looking at this, I think it's called cider press. That's what it is. Thank you for hanging with me until I got that. Cider press is really unique in that it looks like a bear paw quilt block combined with the drunkard's path, and it really is just stunning. One of the things that I really love about how she works is the colors are amazing. They really are amazing. The use of solids in here, or modeled solids and modeled, I just absolutely just stunning, just absolutely stunning. So the quilts in and of themselves are really inspiring. Here it is, cider press. So this is one to go look for. This is one to go grab, because it looks really complicated, and to some degree it is, because not for nothing, there are times when I'm doing curves, I struggle. Even after all this time, I struggle, and I think that's more because I've focused on free motion quilting. But the way that this is put together, it is just absolutely beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful, and you need to watch. But the overall look of the quilt is really dynamic. It really is dynamic. So I heartily recommend this book. My other favorite quilt in here is called Peppermint Twist, and this is one of those quilts where she she makes a small drunkard's path, and then turns it and creates another drunkard's path from that completed drunkard's path block, and then twists it again to get another look. So this is one of those places where I'm looking at my solids and I'm like, oh, I could do this with purples and oranges and give it a little bit of a different look. Or I probably could pull the fabrics from this collection from my stash, maybe not, probably, but I'd probably make a series of blocks. I might even consider, knowing who I am as a quilter, drawing this block out, and then how would I quilt it, which is probably more along the lines of what I would do. But I am blown away. I really am blown away by all of these books. So I'm going to grab my drink. I'm going to grab my Kindle. I'm going to head outside and just enjoy the beautiful sunny afternoon. We're not going to get over the 90s yet this weekend. Don't forget to visit my website, TerifiCreations.com, so that you can head over to the C&T 50% off the ebook sale, and have a great first weekend of the summer. And before I go, I want to take a moment and thank those who have given their lives in defense of our country, or for our country in some way, both those who have passed on and those who have loved them, and thank them for their service. Have a great weekend.